Every week, players gather at their local game stores. They trade, and they battle valiantly for both fun and glory. But amidst their triumph, only two will make it to the finals to fight. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Finals Fights. Tonight we've got Shanks versus Belo. This was in the finals that I played Katakuri, I believe, at this LGS event, and ended up losing to this Shanks. So this Shanks player, very, very good at the game, and looks like he kept a pretty top-heavy hand here. And I believe Shanks is going first, which is pretty unfortunate for the Shanks deck. Shanks likes to see that even curve because they can go with their 8 drops, which is the Dragon or the Rayleigh, into their 10 drop Shanks. But Belo also likes to go second, as they've got a lot of 4 drops that they want to put into play as soon as possible. And so we see a Raise Max come out for the Belo side, just trying to get some bodies on board so they can use Leader Effect, as that Leader Effect gives plus 3,000 to a few Revolutionary Army cards. And then we see Shanks starting off with an Uta. Likely this is going to be an Uta into a 7k swing here. And we see Shanks pick up a bin Beckman, which is a pretty great curve filler going first, because now it looks like he's got an ace in hand, which for his next turn into a Beckman on 7. Beckman being a very great curve, especially if you're forced to go first here. And looks like Belo just going to go ahead and take that 7k. And going back to the Belo turn, Belo unfortunately did not trigger anything out of life. The Belo deck's has gotten a lot less triggers in the deck than it used to have back when it ran the Satoris and the Crackers. Now all the new Revolutionary Army cards aren't nearly as powerful when it comes to their triggers, because you need to be at specific life totals here. But we're going to see one of the best cards in the Belo deck matchup, or in the Belo deck in general, and that's Emporio Vonkov on 4. Activating Leader Effect, give plus 3k to both characters on the board, and then playing out a Lindbergh. Lindbergh going to be one way that the Belo will be able to just KO some things on the opponent's side, especially with the Raise Max already in play here, which is pretty nice. Raise Max going to be able to minus 3k something, and then Lindbergh will be able to KO a 6k or less off of that, because Lindbergh KOs a 3 or less, so that's pretty nice here. Passing on into Shanks' turn. Shanks did just use Leader Activation on Belo. No, with the Uta on board, Raise Max definitely doesn't want to swing out for a 5k hit here, so keeping that standing up is pretty nice. Shanks is going to go ahead and swing 5k, going to get countered out by a 1k here. Belo going to try to conserve as much life as possible here in the early stages of the game, and then we're going to see a 5k go into lead with Uta. Belo just going to go ahead and take it here. Another miss on the trigger, not what you want to see on the Belo side. Getting as many bodies on board, especially against Shanks, as soon as possible is very good here. Notably, Shanks has left 2 Dawn up. And for those who've either played Shanks or played against Shanks, that's a Gum Gum Red Hawk sitting in the front of his hand here, which will KO a 4k or less on the attack here. While also, I believe, giving 4k or minus 4, I think it's giving 4k counter. So be able to get out of a swing and potentially take out an oncoming attacker here, as with Shanks' ability, they can pretty much KO any 5k or less. We see another great card, Emporio Vonkov, and the 5 drop coming into play. Looking at the top 3, going to grab a Revolutionary Army card with 5,000 power or more or less, and stick it into play here. See what the top 3 rip looks like. Looks like he's looking at that and looking at his hand to see what is the play here. Looks like he's got about 4 cards in hand. Would really love to see a Karasu off the top, off of the Vonkov here, being able to set the Shanks down to 4k, which will make a lot of these swings go in a lot easier. For the Shanks, for the Belo player, as they want to kind of get Shanks down as quick as possible. Looks like we find another Lindbergh coming into play here. These Lindberghs, one of them is going to be able to clean up the Uta just incidentally, which is pretty nice. But we'll see how they decide to play around this Gum Gum Red Hawk here, as this is likely going to be targeting the Raise Max. Especially with now having 2 Lindberghs in play, the Raise Max is looking quite a bit threatening, with the ability for it to just minus 3k on something and then let Lindbergh clear that up. So we'll see how he decides to approach this turn. Likely that could be KO'd. If not, we could see Shanks activating on the Vonkov if the Vonkov does not get the power boost, which I believe it will be getting the power boost here. So we're gonna see exactly that. We've got 1 Dawn open here. Could slide the Dawn onto the Raise Max to get around the Red Hawk, and looks like that's what he's doing here, as he's gonna be a 6k Raise Max. So even with Leader Effect and Red Hawk, it's not gonna be enough to KO. We're gonna see an 8k using Lindbergh's ability to KO the Uta. And then we're going to see the Red Hawk here. Red Hawk's going to take him up to 9k, and then he's going to minus 1,000, I believe, and KO the Lindbergh. Yep, so Lindbergh is going to go Notably, Belo Betty player knowing to play around that to keep that raise max around, as it's a pretty nasty threat right now. And then, yeah, Shanks was able to get out of that effect. Shanks no longer has leader ability, so that means the 6k is going to require 2k from hand to get out of here. Unfortunately, it does not have that. Instead, pitches 2 aces, which means this next turn is likely going to go into a bin backman. All right, we see bin backman number 1 get countered, pitched here, and then an 8k swing is taken. Looks like another bin backman off the rip. Already had another one in hand, as well as a Roger, I believe in an 8 drop. And looks like Belo Betty going for an activation of Ivankov, so that Ivankov, the 4 drop, can activate here. He could put another character into play just at the end of the turn here. That character, likely that he's going to be putting into play, if it's the Inazuma, will not have enough power to swing in. It's only going to be a 4k, but it will have rush since it looks for a 7k or more on another character. So it looks like he's going to play that in just to fill up the board here. Now we're pushing into good old Shanks' 7 Dawn turn. This is pretty easily set up to be a bin Beckman turn. Now, what's the biggest target for bin Beckman? Could be the Lindbergh, with the potential of finding another raise max could take out the bin Beckman. Or not, if not, it could just be the Emporio Ivankov at the bottom there, just continuing to put things into play for free, which is very, very strong, though Belo Betty's hand's getting pretty small at this point. If you're liking this type of content, definitely subscribe, join the crew. We've got a lot of new crew members over the last few months, and I really appreciate everybody tuning in for all these interesting series that I'm dropping here, and I really like this Final Fight series. We're just going to see a 5k go into raise max, pretty solid play, and then we're going to see the bin Beckman target exactly what I thought he was going to target, which is that Emporio Ivankov. Now back to the Belo Betty turn. No longer has the raise max in play, which means that bin Beckman is likely going to be sticking around here, even though he would need another source to take care of the bin Beckman anyways, right? You need potentially 2 raise maxes or a raise max into a koala. Looks like we do have a Karasu in hand, so we're going to go ahead and play out the Karasu. And minus 1,000, I believe, on the leader. Always should choose the leader, as it's going to make a lot of swings really easy. Shanks' leader effect will no longer just neuter one specific attack, right, if he decides to swing 5k, because he is a 4k leader now for the rest of this turn. Nice little leader activation on Belo Betty. Going to bring up a 9k, an 8k, and a 7k here, with a few Dawn left over to be able to swing pretty heavy here. We're going to see a 1 swing go in, 9k is going to go in. Looks like we're going to get an 8k here. 8k is going to go in as well. And then we're going to swing another 8k, which is just going to get taken again as Shanks' hand is bricking up quite a bit. And then now we're going to get another 8k going to lead here. And at this point, maybe it's worth countering out of, potentially. It looks like we're going to minus 1,000. I think we need one more counter to get out of this here, because it is a 4k counter lead. Yep. So we're gonna completely counter out of that to try to stabilize at 1 life. If you're at 0 life going into Belo Betty, you're gonna lose pretty hard. Belo Betty, I believe, at 2 life here. Gonna go ahead and swing 7k at lead here, and looks like Belo Betty is going to take it. Sorry for life being cut off. I had to do a makeshift camera setup for this specific recording here, because I forgot my camera stand. And we're going to see the Dragon come in. Dragon can potentially commit for lethal here, because it's going to be a rush throw. We're going to see 2 attached rested Dawn go to Shanks. Plus 1 means 8k, and then a 9k with Dragon, which is going to completely clean the game up. That Dragon swinging in and saving the day for Shanks here, as potentially was most certainly going to die to Belo Betty on that next turn there. And Shanks able to steal the game from Belo Betty with a nice little Dragon play. Was able to pressure Belo Betty when it mattered most, ignoring the board and just going for lethal. That's why Dragon is a very good card in Shanks for sure, and is able to help you close out games that seem unwinnable at certain points. And with that, if you like this type of content, again, join the crew, subscribe, like the video. If you like this type of content, like the video. That tells me that you want to see more of this type of content. And with that in mind, thanks everybody, and have a good day.